It was supposed to end controversy. It was supposed to give us clarity. Yet every weekend, football fans argue more than ever. VAR, Video Assistant Referee, is one of the most divisive changes in football history. Some call it justice, others call it the death of passion. So, is VAR saving football or ruining it? The idea of using video in football didn't come from FIFA or UEFA, but from the Dutch FA. Around 2010, they began testing whether referees could get help from a video assistant in a remote booth. At first it was clumsy. Replays were slow, communication wasn't clear, and traditionalists said it would never work in the world's most spontaneous sport. But the idea kept spreading. By 2016, FIFA officially launched trials in tournaments across different continents, from the Club World Cup to youth competitions. For the first time, referees weren't just making split-second judgments on the pitch. They had an entire team watching from cameras, feeding them information. Then came 2018, the World Cup in Russia. It was the biggest stage possible, and VAR took center stage. Fans around the world saw referees stop matches, sprint to the touchline, and stare at screens no bigger than an iPad. And in that summer, history was made when France were awarded the first ever World Cup penalty through VAR against Australia, proof that football had entered a brand new era. On paper, VAR was never meant to take over the game. Its mission was limited: correct clear and obvious errors in goals, penalties, red cards, and mistaken identity. Nothing more. The logic was simple. If a referee missed a handball in the box or sent off the wrong player, VAR could step in and correct it. It was supposed to make football fairer, protect referees from the abuse that comes with costly mistakes, and most importantly, stop fans from leaving stadiums feeling cheated. And at first the promise looked real. The 2018 World Cup became known as the VAR World Cup. 29 reviews were carried out, 17 penalties were awarded, the most in tournament history. To many, this was football embracing modernity. Technology had already revolutionized tennis and rugby. Now it was football's turn. For a moment, it felt like refereeing had finally stepped into the 21st century. But reality soon hit hard. VAR slowed the game. Decisions that should take seconds stretched into minutes. A player scores, the stadium explodes, and then silence. Everyone waiting for a verdict from a booth miles away. Margins became laughable. Offsides decided by a kneecap, an armpit, or a bootlace. Fans joked VAR needed a microscope. The joy of celebrating a goal started to feel fake. Even players looked hesitant. Should they celebrate now or wait for the review? Managers raged on the touchline, commentators filled dead air with frustration, and supporters at home grew exhausted. In England especially, VAR became a weekly headline. Every weekend, it seemed, the Premier League's biggest talking point wasn't who won the match. It was what VAR had decided. Instead of ending arguments, it created more. Pundits debated for hours, fans flooded social media, and refereeing mistakes became a bigger story than the football itself. What was meant to bring clarity was only adding more chaos. And then came the controversies that shook trust even further. Liverpool fans will never forget Tottenham in 2023 when a clear goal was ruled out after a miscommunication between officials. Arsenal have been furious at inconsistent handball calls. And Manchester United, given so many soft penalties in one stretch that rival fans jokingly renamed Old Trafford, Old Penaltyford. But it's not just an English problem. Across Europe, it's the same story. Inconsistent decisions, delays that kill the rhythm of games, and referees hiding behind the phrase clear and obvious error. Fans began to ask, if VAR was supposed to deliver accuracy, why does it feel more subjective than ever? Why does the same handball look like a penalty in Spain, but play on in Italy? Instead of removing controversy, VAR became the controversy. It turned referees from decisive figures into hesitant officials, constantly waiting for a voice in their ear. The promise of technology became a weekly soap opera, and maybe that's the real issue. VAR doesn't actually remove human error, it just moves it from the pitch to a dark room full of screens. Decisions are still made by people, only now they're invisible, anonymous, and unaccountable. Football has never been perfect, Referees have always made mistakes, but the game flowed and the arguments ended at the pub, not days later online. Now, the obsession with perfection has made football less spontaneous, less emotional. Goals celebrated twice, once when the ball hits the net, again when VAR gives the all clear, never feel as raw as that first explosion of joy. In chasing accuracy, football might have sacrificed its soul. The cure feels worse than the disease. So, is VAR saving football or ruining it? Maybe it depends on what you value more: fairness or feeling, accuracy or passion, because VAR might be here to stay, but the debate over whether it belongs will never end. What do you think? Is VAR the future of football or the biggest mistake the game has ever made?